all week last week was dictated by the NBA draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now we're doing NHL draft, wall to wall, baby.
Woo!
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 I can only freshly know the name because we had a conversation about it. But Chris, do you remember who the hot shot guy in the NHL draft was? By chance,
Connor Bedard.
Yeah, good shit. Chris, you did get into the NHL last year. Well, JB, I can't ask you now because you know.
We already know the answer, but yeah.
I mean, he's gonna be him. But nonetheless, we missed out on Detroit Lions talk, baby. And now it's time to make up for it because I saw an article that the Detroit Lions offensive weapons were ranked 16th best in the NFL by ESPN article by who's his name? You have beef with this
Bill
guy?
Barnwell.
Bill Barnwell. And Spinny, you got heated a little bit last night.
Yeah, man, this shit pisses me off. So Bill Barnwell's in there. Yeah, he says they have the 16th best weapons in the NFL. So I'm like, I mean, I'm not mad at it. I think they could be higher, but I'm not going to nitpick on a couple spots. But one of his reasons to this was David Montgomery. He said, and I quote, Gibbs is likely an upgrade on traded back DeAndre Swift, but Montgomery is a downgrade from Jamal Williams. David Montgomery is a downgrade from Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams, the guy who was a career backup until he came here and DeAndre Swift dealt with injuries. Jamal Williams, the same guy who had one career season over 1,000 all-purpose yards, which was last year. While David Montgomery, I don't know, every year of his career has had over 1,000 all-purpose yards. Jamal Williams, the same guy who in his 1,000-yard season had, I think it was 262 carries, 60 more than David Montgomery had last year, and David Montgomery finished with 800 yards last year. So per his yards per carry, if you gave David Montgomery 60 more carries, he would have had more yards than Jamal Williams. And oh yeah, that was behind the Bears offensive line, not the Detroit Lions. You're honestly going to sit there and tell me that you think David Montgomery is a downgrade from Jamal Williams? Jamal Williams, like I said, the guy who's been a career backup. Jamal Williams, who just got paid to go be a backup to Alvin Kamara. Compared to David Montgomery, who is the leading back for the Bears until Justin Fields got there. You know, he's the real running back. This is just stupid to me. This is just, I don't know if he just forgot that Jamal Williams didn't do anything but be a backup until his 1 year in Detroit, where he was forced to be the number one back behind a top 3 offensive line in the NFL and was given 1,000 carries inside the 5-yard line. So that's why he scored all those touchdowns. If the Lions offensive line and Ben Johnson can turn Jamal Williams from a Packers backup into the guy who rushes for 1,000 yards and leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns, you don't think he can take a guy like David Montgomery, who's had over 1,000 all-purpose yards every year of his career, and have a better season than that? You think it's a downgrade? Do you watch the two guys play football? Do you watch the run style? Do you know how many tackles that David Montgomery breaks? Do you see what Jamal Williams is? This doesn't make sense. I literally can't pinpoint anything out of either of their games, careers, or run styles that is like, yeah, no, this guy's worse than Jamal Williams. Stop it. Stop it.
That does not
Get
make
off
sense.
the weed. Like, this is just blasphemous. Jamal Williams, he was good for us last year, but he is a backup. That's not a guy that you're giving the keys to your offense to and saying you're our workhorse back, unless you're forced to, because your other ones are dealing with injuries, which is what the Lions dealt with last year. David Montgomery is a guy that you could put in there and be like, yeah, this is our number one back. He's going for it. As he's shown in Chicago since he got drafted every year. So I don't understand where this guy's coming from. I don't know what he's looking at that makes him think that David Montgomery is a downgrade from Jamal Williams, but he has the confidence to say Jahmyr Gibbs, who hasn't played a snap in the NFL, is an upgrade from DeAndre Swift. That one I think is probably going to be true, but to say that with confidence and then to say David Montgomery is a downgrade from Jamal Williams, the dude's smoking crack. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
You're 100% correct. I did do some homework a little bit here to maybe get how we got to this conclusion, and I think it's due to based off numbers. And we have numbers guys. We have guys that like to go off context, like you, like myself. And in the past 2 years, between the two of them, with more games, David Montgomery actually had 110 less yards and 8 less touchdowns. And that's with him having 9 more games. But for some reason, I tried to make sense of it. Like maybe he had a couple injuries, but it's all the context missing from that conversation. It's like you said, one guy's playing behind the Detroit Lions offensive line that's widely considered top 3, top 5 for sure, if not top 3. Another guy's playing against the Chicago Bears offensive line who just spent their number 1 pick in the first round on offensive linemen to help them do the things they need to do to get done. I mean, David Montgomery, I think we already know the conversation, is the most broken tackles is being drafted, the 4th most tackles is being drafted, and that's a guy you're putting behind this top 3 offensive line. You have to expect an upgrade from that. I'm a full agreement of that one. I saw it this morning. Maybe pause too. I went to go back and watch Jamal's. I'm like, is Jamal more explosive than David Montgomery? I mean, time will tell ultimately, but I think he's got it wrong. I'm taking David Montgomery. He's the more talented back. He's been proven to be the more talented back throughout his entire career, and that's why he was the starter. And Jamal Williams was the backup. And as you said, that's the best line in that. Was you mentioned he just signed a contract to be another backup
yes.
Running back. Another situation. So I think he's off on that one. As far as like the Detroit Lions 16th. I didn't have the full list to digress. I looked at it a little bit with JB before the show started, but like, I think he's just misinterpreting what this offense did last year.
And Jamal Williams in his career has 38 touchdowns.
Yeah.
17 of them came last year.
Yeah.
David Montgomery in his career has 30 touchdowns. And I don't remember the exact number, but wasn't it like 11 of those 17 touchdowns
came within the 5-yard line.
Were from inside the 5-yard line?
Yeah.
And like 8 of them were from the 1-yard line?
Yeah.
Like, come on now. You don't think that David Montgomery could do that? You think Jamal Williams just magically in year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 figured out that he's a stud running back, that he's an all-star, that he just changed how running backs work in the NFL? Like, yeah, no, normally they fall off a cliff, but no. Now I'm a stud. Now I'm the guy. No, it was situation, it was play calling, and it was being behind that mammoth of an offensive line. If you give David Montgomery the same amount of carries inside in the red zone that you gave Jamal Williams last year, he will produce similar results.
Oh, it's interesting.
He is a better player.
That's the context of missing. Right, and because like I said, before I came to the show today, when I looked at this immediately, I looked at Jamal's highlights. I'm like, damn, is Jamal putting his shoulder down, just fucking trucking dudes and going through them? Which he put a shoulder down. Jamal's a tough runner. We all know that. And then I went to David Montgomery's highlights. I was like, oh yeah, this guy is night and day better. This is a different situation he's going to be in. Like that was a bad take on his part. Aside from that, I did have the rest of the Detroit Lions. I'm sorry, the rest of the NFC North's rankings among this article. He had the Green Bay Packers 28th. Well, I personally disagree with. I don't know that you guys necessarily feel the same way, but how do you feel about that?
That's a little far down.
I think so too.
I know you're really high on Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs.
Yeah.
I like Christian Watson a lot. Romeo Doubs I still need to see some things from, but Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are a good combination. I think they should be higher than that.
Oh, man, I got the David Montgomery highlights still going on my computer. You guys know once that thing was done, I was pretty damn excited about that one. Yeah, I feel kind of biased in that situation because I know personally that I am high on that wide receiving core. And obviously I have Aaron Jones and Dillon too. Who knows? Luke Musgrove was one of the highly ranked tight ends coming out of this year's draft class, but maybe we have to prove it. I don't know. What?
HJ3K. Jamal value was boosted for his team leadership. He's not better than Monty. Stop. Listen, I like it too. I like the anime. I like the crying in the huddle. I like the piss on the porch if you're a puppy. Like, yeah, that shit's cool. It's cute. It makes good clips. But in between those yards, in between the end zones, on the field, David Montgomery is a better player than Jamal Williams. And you can't argue it. It's fact. Like, there's a reason Jamal Williams was just a starter this year. Because he was forced into it because DeAndre Swift, and because he's not a starting caliber running back in the NFL.
You want the truth of the matter? What it comes down to is national. It's hard enough to stay on top of all Detroit Lions stuff, just all Detroit sports across the compass. Let alone these guys that are forced these national jobs because they work for these national publications. So like when they go to do these articles, they have to go based off the numbers. They don't really have the context. There's no true human outside of Baldy who's a psychopath, watches every single game and breaks down every single game like play tape. Some people do. Russell Brown's one when it comes to college football, but like he's a sicko. Just like I said, this guy, there's no way in hell he watched both these players and came to this conclusion. Like David Montgomery is night and day the better football player.
Yeah, HJ3K, my bad. I read that comment wrong. He's agreeing with us.
He just what he did. He pulled up the last 2 years, looked at the numbers. He know that Williams had a big year last year, but it's just way out of context. He's nothing to consider here, and that's what happens with big
CJ
national
Rose
articles.
makes a good point. He says, "How can we have a top 5 offense with 16 ranked weapons? That list is trash."
List is trash.
And they added more weapons,
Yes.
multiple weapons. Jameer
Yeah.
Gibbs, upgrading David Montgomery,
Yeah.
Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
You know how that math works.
Yeah.
You know how that should go.
You know how 16th can be 5. It's because of Jared Goff is carrying this Detroit offense.
You're right.
Carrying it.
You're right. Yeah, for this offense to be top 5, you know Jared Goff was at the helm of
Ben
it.
Johnson should be listed as a weapon for Detroit.
He should be listed as a motherfucker.
He's probably the best weapon they have.